The worst thing we can do is say that we don't have something when you don't know that we have it. Someone said in the comment section the other night, said Black Americans, I said, no, us as Black people don't have any culture. And I was like, and I read it and I kept it moving. I didn't even say it, but it stuck in my subconscious mind. I said, hold up. We have so much damn culture. And there's been plenty of people covering it. But without further ado, I'm not going to bore you. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Let me tell you about our culture, right? And of course, a lot of this derived from slavery, how slavery became America's first big business, okay? First big business. And it talks about, of course, our ancestors picking cotton and all this, that, and the other. It also gets into reparations as well. But that's what people like to tell you. Your culture, Black family, is slavery. That's your culture. You guys worked enslaved for white people in America. You were enslaved. Your ancestors were enslaved in America, and that's all they did. Black people have no contributions to building America. Black people don't have any culture. See, my Irish and Scottish and English ancestors came over here and built this country and started governments. And you know, Irish, they're good for brickwork. And the Chinese came over and built the railroads. Bullshit. First and foremost, our democracy founded ideas were false when they were written. Black Americans have fought to make them true. We're talking about freedom from other groups. That's part of our culture. By fighting for ourselves, we have helped other groups exponentially to do better. That's our culture. We're freedom fighters. Because that's how we came in this country, our ancestors in shackles. So the first thing we were, prior to the great people that our ancestors were in Africa, we were freedom fighters. And then within that freedom, and also in bondage, we built buildings like the White House. From top to bottom, we built this country. This is our culture, that we are builders, innovators, carpenters. We're just not a bunch of niggas out here selling drugs. We just are not a bunch of buffoons on TV acting out and literally showing their ass. That's not our culture. Our culture is not twerking on tables. Our culture is not OnlyFans page. That's not our culture. That's ratchet culture. That shit just came about in the last 15 years or so. Last 15 to 20 years, believe it or not. That's ratchet culture, not Black American culture. I don't know where we got this shit from. But I will also not to take credit for ratchet culture, saying, well, kind of came out of Black American culture. No, this was cultivated. This culture you see, ladies and gentlemen, was cultivated. It was nurtured. It was seduced. Say, hey, we want you to go out here and wear this, and we'll pay you this amount of money. And at the time, us being so poverty stricken, we'll take these deals and literally buck break ourselves on national TV. And when other people will call out and say, well, they gave me this amount of money to do that. I mean, that's the modern day term of a sellout. So what is our culture? Buildings are our culture. Building is our culture. We built the White House, the Capitol. I'm just going to keep scrolling. The U.S. Capitol. Statue of Freedom, the Smithsonian Institute. And if any of you guys ever went to the Smithsonian, it's a mall of different buildings. Some of the first buildings were built by our people. This is our culture. So when people ask you your culture, it's not just wearing the latest Jordans and listen to the latest track. That's not our culture. That's a part of our culture, right? But that's pop culture. What's popular at the time. See, we have to make sure we divide these, that we don't put them all in one box. No, there's a Black American culture which just exudes excellence. And then there's Black pop culture. That's when you start getting into the J's and the latest tracks, this, that, and the other. Not Black American culture. Yeah, it's a subsidy, okay? It's a subsidy of Black American culture, but it's not our culture. But see, that's what the world knows of Black Americans because of white mass media. This is our cultures. Building this country is part of our culture. We built Wall Street. This is our culture. Building the very landmark financial institutions on which this country thrives on. This is our culture. Trinity Church in New York. The Tavern in New York. I don't know how to say that first name. Friend Hall in Boston. Large buildings that people that are still here today. This is our culture. Fort Sumner in South Carolina, a military base, is our culture. The Harvard Law School is our culture. See, some of the very institutions that we apply for, that we can't get in, even with the grades, even with the money, our fucking ancestors built it. That's right, our ancestors built it. See, don't get your eyes off the prize, Black people. You have to continue to work hard. You can't just be stagnant where you are. I'm showing you buildings that Black Americans made. Another fort in Florida. I'm just showing you some of the national landmarks. Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. My hometown. Black Americans built Georgetown University. But they will have you to believe that European immigrants or colonists at the time came over and built these things. See, we have to know our true culture. Because see, when we look at other groups, we idolize them. We like, oh, well, Asians, they real good at math, but you know, that's part of their culture. They go to school all day and they learn. Well, I believe math wasn't invented. I believe math always existed. But who created the methods in which we obtain math? The way how we use math in everyday things. I mean, who created the first clock? Who created the first clock? We understand that the Egyptians was telling time. I mean, we're talking in 60 AD or BC with the sundial. But these are the things that we don't really tell about our culture. Let me move on. What else did we have? University of North Carolina, enslaved Black Americans built this. I don't know what that building is, but who cares? All these buildings they're saying in Virginia, Black Americans built this. Mount Vernon in Virginia. And I think that's about it. Let me move on. So some people will argue, they will say, well, you know, Chinese or Asians built the railroad. Untrue. Black enslaved Africans, aka Black Americans, first and foremost had to clear the land for the railroad to be landed. That's what people don't understand. We cleared the land prior to any Chinese coming over. And then, of course, they assisted in the building of it. Of course, we know that history to be true. But you can just tell right here. Now, this is coming from theconversation.com. If you want to reference this for yourself and then fact check it, I'm okay with that. Slaves built infrastructure still creates wealth in U.S., suggesting reparations should cover past harms and cultural value of slavery. American cities from Atlanta to New York City still use buildings, roads, ports, and rail lines built by enslaved people. built by enslaved people. Good evening, Daniels, as well as Hilly, Diamond Kids, and Jermaine Anderson. But this is what they won't tell us. And neither should they have to. They should never have to tell us our history. They should never have to tell us our culture. See, they will have you to believe that the Asians built the railroads in America, so they contribute to America. They will have you to believe that business, which there was really no business without slavery, built this country. But see, not only did we build the economic structure of them, we still contribute to American culture the entire time we were enslaved or free. Because even in enslaved, they were inventing and their patents were being stolen by their slave masters because essentially it was considered as property. Again, American medicine was built on the backs of slaves, and it still affects how doctors treat patients today. This is our culture, contributing to every part and piece of America. Honoring Black Americans' contributions to medicine. So for those of you who did not know, no matter what race, creed, ethnic, gender that you are, if you did not know, Black American culture is American culture, especially when your ancestors has built this land with their hands. And we essentially achieved in every sort of sector, whether it be medicine, physical attributes, fashion design, music, inventions, food, you name it. We're all over the place. So when you think about American culture, you can't take away Black American culture. You can't take away Black people who live in America. You just can't do it. Because this is our culture. And I'm not going to read all of these. I just highlighted some things in case some of you guys wanted to see it. I'm just going to scroll down, family. We all know about Charles Drew and William August Hinton. We know about these people, right? Alfred Day Hershey, who was a geneticist, who won the Nobel Prize in Psychology of Medicine. Oh, Patricia Bath, the one you should be helping for your LASIK surgery. Patricia Bath, because she developed some sort of laser that I think decreased and was a less painful method of clearing out cataracts. So you can thank her for LASIK surgery, any sort of surgery with your eye using lasers. I have such a long list here, fam. I'm just scrolling down. Family. Let me move on. Music. Oh, this is such a contradictory thing when it comes to music, right? Because the first thing that most of us are going to say is what? We're going to say, oh yeah, we invented hip hop. And that is the most controversial one, because we all think about Kool Herc and that he was a Jamaican immigrant, right? Doesn't really even matter at this point to me. I mean, I know that we were very influential and that he heard music being played and other people mixing music prior to him, quote unquote, mixing and mastering it. So there's a lot of controversy there. But at the time, he was pretty much a Black American, but the Jamaicans can have him. He's yours. It's okay. We all love hip hop. Let's move on from that. Okay. But we can accept that in this particular argument, all the different types of music that we have created, and a lot of other music that a lot of us are now not associated with because we don't understand the greatness of our culture. Is this not all about music? It's not all about dancing, even though we made up damn near every dance that's popular out there. I think the only thing that I haven't seen research on is river dancing. I did see a tribe in Africa doing a similar dance. Just saying. But let's start off with it. Jazz. We understand that we created jazz. There's no argument there. There's no argument about jazz. Country music is the one that's a big argument about. But we're going to cover this a little bit deeper. I'm just going to go through this very, very quickly. Now, it says here that country music can trace its roots to the American South tumultuous racial climate. The Black influence on country music starts with the banjo, pretty much an instrument of West Africa roots brought to America by slaves. Again, even country is our music. Now, at first, I remember it was very uncool for a lot of us to say we like country, especially if you're from a major city like DC, New York, LA. It was just kind of uncool to say you like country. Then as you got older, you're like, yeah, I like a couple of country songs, but it's not really my take, But most people, if you live in the hood and get out, nobody listens to no damn country. If they were playing country, they were trying to clown somebody. But we don't even know our own music. This is our culture. Country is part of our culture, family, because we created it. Our ancestors came over here from Africa with their instruments, or they built them while they were here and played music. Let me move on. Rock and roll. Uh-oh. 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 Now, I should have did rock and roll first because I think this is a very easy argument for us. And some white people are like, okay, cool. You know, Chuck Berry, you guys invented rock and roll, okay? Not Chuck Berry. I got the names up here. Give me a second. But they would really argue down about country. They would really say that's from white America, okay? House music. Did y'all know about that? That's part of Black American culture. Techno music stemmed from Black American culture. Detroit DJ Robert Hood credited as the originator of techno, fused funk, disco, and gospel beyond recognition in the 80s. Disco. I'm kidding. I don't know too much about disco. But these are the things, family. Let me move on. So let's start naming some of these people that I looked up for you guys. Let's get into it. Country music is a melting pot of Black culture. You see that, family? Let me blow this up. I want to make sure you guys see this. Country music is a melting pot of Black culture. Hillbilly music in particular is a combination of folk songs created by African immigrants from the British Isles in the 18th, 19th century. Southern Black people invented the banjo and the fiddle, popular instrument used in country music in the 1690s. In 1927, a man by the name of Delfoy Bailey performed during a music radio show in Nashville and played his harmonica, another popular instrument used in country. One of the things of rock and roll many people think of is the white rock and king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Rock and roll music is heavily influenced by a deep South Black music genre called rhythm and blues. This is Black American culture. And we already covered house music, okay, is a genre of electronic dance music characterized by repetitive beats and tempos and usually played as club music. House music, that I know I heard some of that in Baltimore. Techno music, again, this is the gentleman who created techno music, okay? So family, I know I'm scrolling down here very quickly, and what we really need to understand is all the things that our culture actually has curated, and it hasn't just been ratchet music. It always haven't been gangster music, always murderous killing type music. But let me kind of change the vibe here a little bit, because I'm trying to tell people, I'm trying to teach people, I'm trying to inform you people about Black American culture. So when someone asks you what Black American culture is, we went all the way from the killing fields of the South and the North, and how essentially we built trillions of dollars for the nation by our ancestors' very hands. That is our culture, that we are what? Business builders. See, a lot of people like to believe, well, you guys got directed and instructed on how to build those buildings. No, they gave us a design. See, our ancestors from Africa already knew how to build buildings, because they still don't want to give us credit for the pyramids in Egypt. But there's other pyramids that we made in Mexico and other countries around the world. We're not only architects, okay, but we are builders. And it shows that if you go in and just look at all the buildings, landmarks, and ports and railroads that Black Americans built, the information is there, family. There's no disputing it. But when you don't know your own culture, this is when you kind of get in a pissing contest with somebody who probably knows just a little bit more about you, about what you should know. So I have a long list, and I'm going to scan through this very, very quickly, but I want to show you what else is part of our culture. See, modern day times, we have become very dependent upon other groups and other people, and mainly the government, but that was never our people. I'm not going to even get into the Black Wall Streets, the Black business district, because I always go there, family. Because people always say, oh, well, you guys need to do this, that, and the other. But history tells us in our Black Wall Streets, the summer of 1919, also coined as the Red Summer, that angry white mobs went to major Black business districts and Wall Streets and destroyed them and killed and burned people. See, that's how economic wealth that would have been started to build for our generations today, whether it be X, Y, and Z. See, they just want to tell you that you guys live in a ghetto. You guys are dumb because you got small heads. You guys know about that research. I talked about that before, right? About Jane Rushing talking about because African people, okay, African descendant people, heads are small, so you have small brains, and that's why you're not as intelligent in other groups. Okay. See, sometimes you can't argue with foolishness. See, you ever been arguing with somebody and you know what they were saying was foolish, was false, was fake, was fraudulent, was lies, and you just sat back there and your ass just kept going back and forth with them, and then you become a damn fool. The funniest thing someone can ever tell me is, hey man, cite your resources. Right? I'll be in other media spaces. Hey, cite your resources, cite your resources. No. I told my son this. If someone is trying to prove me wrong, you go do the research. I believe what I say. I did my research. See, I understand when we was in college and school, you always had to cite your resources. I get it. But the problem is with people, instead of trying to prove you wrong by research, they want you to cite the research so they can flip it, mix it, and match it. No. You go do the research. Prove me wrong. It's kind of like if I'm in a court of law and there's a prosecuting attorney and a defendant attorney, then they have to prove each other right or wrong, correct? No. That's where I'm at. I'm not doing all those things, but nonetheless, that was a one-off. Here's our culture. Now, we already know about the peanut butter. We know about, because they love to bring up George Washington Carver. But let's just run down this list, okay? I'm not going to take no time on any one invention because this is part of our culture, inventing things, fixing problems. The folding cabinet bed, potato chips, gas mask, protective mailbox, blood bank, improved ironing board, home security system, 3-light traffic light, refrigerator truck, automatic elevator doors, electric microphone, color IBM PC monitor and gigahertz chip, super soaker, tissue holder, peanut butter, the laser Phaco, automatic gear shift, clothes dryer, dustpan, folding chair, golf tees, ice cream scooper, lawn mower, lawn sprinkler, modern toilet, the mop, reversible baby stroller, drag queens, log mania. That's just from Dapper Dan. Then you also have paper chest, alphabet, medicine, servant tray walker, airplane propeller, biscuit cutter, coin changer, rotary engine, car coupler, letterbox, stainless steel pads, torpedo discharger, disposable syringe, coin planter, cotton planter, street sweepers, horse bridle bit, horseshoe, train alarm, image converter, radiation detector, paints and stands, lotions and soaps, automatic fishing reel, ice cream mold, printing press, envelope seal, laser fuse, pressure cooker, window cleaner, portable pencil sharpener, fire extinguisher, shoe lasting machine, wrapping catapult, hairbrush, heating furnaces, blimp, handstand, fountain pen, dustpan, intersect destroyer gun, sugar refiner, celery foam, curtain rod. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, family. The list goes on and on and on. This is our culture. This is our culture. And I think I left out some genres of music. Did I not? Because we talked about a little bit about jazz and country and techno music and house music. What about the blues? Now you know we invented the blues because the blues was always telling you the blues and country are very, very similar because blues and country was never really meant to be uplifting music. It was kind of sad music. I mean, shit, we was in either slavery, and then from slavery, then we went through the Jim Crow, then we went through Black Reconstruction. I mean, we still going through shit today. We're always singing the blues. I say sing the blues now, get up and go do something with yourself. Sing the blues now, get up and go do something with yourself. That's what we should be doing. We even invented marching bands. And then we took that to the military, and the military started having marching bands. African Americans have always held a significant role in the armed services military brand tradition. And I didn't forget about rhythm and blues, R&B. What's going on, Mary? Okay, moving right along. Wife downstairs. And we know who this guy is, right, family? Country music, Little Richard. But when somebody asks you your culture, are you telling them this? And just to point out hip hop once more, since we were on music, we understand that a number of people were influential in the creation of hip hop. Much credit is given to Kool Herc. Okay? But that's what we need to understand. And that's from Britannica.com. Also, I think I got some down here. Hip hop was invented by Bronx, by Jamaican, but it was not invented in Jamaica. Again, he was over here. Kool Herc was heavily influenced by a sound system from his youth, but he did new things on his own that resulted in the blueprint for hip hop. So for some people who think that Kool Herc just invented hip hop, there's a lot more to the story. This is our culture. See, I didn't go too far back, and I'm not going too far forward, family, because our culture is the very essence of life. We were the first people. Our ancestors were the first people. For someone to say that we are stupid, illiterate, dumb, gangster, hoes, niggas, I mean, whatever they want to call us, that's not our culture. That's ratchet culture. That's a subsidy. That's a subsidiary under Black American culture, unfortunately. Unfortunately, ratchet culture is a subsidy under Black American culture. And again, I will say we did not invent ratchet culture. This is something that was developed and nurtured by the system of white supremacy. You knew it was coming. And I have some naysayers out there saying, wow, everything that Black Americans do that's wrong, they blame it on white people. And I'm not blaming it. I'm not blaming nothing on all white people. I know you guys get it. I'm not blaming all white people. But there is a system that a lot of you benefit from. And I just want to touch very, very lightly on fashion very quickly. Fashion is also a category in which blacks have made their own unique contributions. Many of them have become noted milestones in the fashion industry. Fashion within black cultures begin with church style in the South. When you see the big mama wear the big hats and the feathers out of it. See, this is the thing about fashion. If you notice that fashion is essentially centralized around black Americans. It doesn't matter where people come from. It doesn't matter where people come from. Black Americans, we are the very essence of fashion. We either be ratchet fashion or good fashion. Whether it be a nice tux or a suit, Black American fashion. We influence every sector, every genre of fashion, every. These brands out here wouldn't have cool clothing if they could save their life. Case in point, I want you guys to just think about when you used to watch old white shows prior to, okay, when they used to wear the big gowns, and then when black people started to come over to the Americas as well as Europe, and how their fashion changed. This is a one-off. C.R. Patterson and Sons Company. It says here that C.R. Patterson Sons Company was a carriage building firm and the first African-American owned automobile manufacturer. Okay, and this was in Ohio. So as Black Americans, we have had our own car manufacturing plant. This is our culture. And if you guys do any of your research, and a lot of our black business districts, aka Black Wall Streets, that we built all of those buildings. So why do people don't believe that we built America? This is our culture. We're builders. We built the medical facilities within our communities, the hospitals, the grocery stores, the homes, the shops, whatever you want, we built it. So when you're looking at entertainment and sports, that's a part of our culture. When it comes to smells, we brought those over to France. The Moors did, bought different fragrances and scents. They didn't know shit about frankincense and myrrh before us. Just saying. Now, this is one right here is very, very controversial. And there's no dispute, there's no argument, but it's controversial because we get discriminated upon because of our hair. But this is part of our culture, family. This is fashion. This is fashion, believe it or not. Our hair, down from our hair to our toes, we have always been very, very fashionable people. America would not be America without Black American culture. Now, I'm not going to get into the weaves and the extension, but I'm going to get into the many, many different hairstyles, whether it be female or male, of our people, and how we are the trendsetters in everything when it comes to fashion. See, I didn't even, and I like to do these one-offs to get your mind off the topic I'm talking about. So here's another one-off. The very phone, the very computer that you're looking at me right now, you're looking at me in living color versus black and white. Who can we contribute to that? Mark Dean. He's the one who made the color monitor when he was working over at IBM. He invented that. See, there's so many things that our people have invented, our people have nurtured, like Vivian Thomas, another one-off, who developed a procedure, a medical procedure to cure blue baby syndrome. I can even talk about, what's the guy in the White House right now, or was in the White House with Donald Trump, black guy. He's the first doctor, Ben something. He's the first doctor to successfully separate Siamese twins that was attached at the back of the head. Back on his hair thing. I just want you to look at all the different hairstyles, family, all the contributions that we made, even the Jerry curl. I mean, we can laugh at that, but look at the art, look at the style. This is our people. This is our culture. I mean, one hairstyle may not be your cup of tea or not, but it doesn't matter. This is fashion. This is our culture. And they will try to strip us from this. And matter of fact, they have hair discrimination. They have hair discrimination. They're cutting our kids' hair in school when they're playing sports. When I'm like, well, Billy got a whole, but he's Billy. And he doesn't have hair like this, but this is our culture. Look at our beautiful sisters, our beautiful men, with all types of beautiful, stylish hairstyles, the crinkling of the hair, the fading of the hair, the lined up, right? I don't know all the hairstyles here, family, but the point you know that I'm making is this is all fashion. Everything we do is fashionable, everything. You saw seeing other people like Asians doing their hair like our hair. This is part of our culture. You saw seeing white boys getting fades. But they would strip you of these things, especially when they ask you, what is your culture? You don't even know. You don't even know. We're still making fashionable clothes today, family. I just surprised my wife with one of her gifts today. It didn't come, but they're making it. Wear Brims, okay, Wear Brims is a Black American hat company. And I bought my wife, and I'll show you what I bought her. I bought her the burnt rose, or the rose burnt, something right here, the rotten peach. That's the word it is. I bought her this hat right here. And believe it or not, family, you can find these hats in Nordstrom's. This is a Black American company. You can find these hats in Nordstrom's. What else? Here's another company I buy from called Actively Black. Now, in my opinion, Actively Black has better clothing than Nike. See, my thing is, we have somehow hoarded ourselves out, slutted ourselves out to name brands. Like, I'll be talking to some of my friends, they talking about Gucci and this and that. Nah, why? Why are we giving money to other groups where we're not supporting our own culture? We are the fashion designers. We'll take other people's designs and modify them. Dapper Dan took, very expensive Italian like Gucci fit and all that, and he took the emblem and stuff off and started wrapping furniture to making it more fashionable, because that's what he saw what people like. But Actively Black, I got a couple of things from here. The fabric, the material is better than Nike, in my opinion. This my opinion. You know what? Don't even take my word for it, family. Go out and buy you something. And I tell you, the prices are like Nike too. So stop thinking that our Black American culture going to have us to really make inferior clothing to other brands. No, that's not who we are. So when I say, oh man, that's expensive, you'll pay the same amount for Columbia or Nike or Reebok or Adidas. So go with the actively black. I mean, this is not their plug. They don't even know I'm doing this, but I like to point these brothers out. They started a really nice clothing brand. Okay. And they have different designs. I'm walking through this very quickly. I got some shorts and I got me a hoodie and I got me a bag. I like their clothing. Excellent designs, excellent branding. Let me show you another thing that I bought that a lot of guys are getting back into. Let me show you something else they have here. I'm going to show you the bag that I bought here. I'm not too keen on the hat wear, but that's okay. Let me show you the bag that I bought here, family. One of those crossbody bags. Here we go. Right here, family. I bought this Stealth Martin. The crossbody carbon fiber bag. So when guys are out, we have something to put our gear in. You know, we got our wallet, we got our phone, we got our keys. We might have some other stuff. You put it right here in your crossbody carbon bag. But it's actively black. I just wanted to highlight, two quick black businesses so you understand that we're the epitome of American culture. This is Black American culture. Our kids excelling in school is Black American culture. I told you, our culture have been, in some aspects, a lot of it has been stolen from us. A lot of it has been tricked from us. A lot of it has now been honed out from us. But if you do your research, family, you will understand that American culture is a Black American culture. Without Black Americans, there's no culture in America. Without us, our ancestors rather, there's no America. So when people ask you, well, I know these people, they like this particular food and they wear these particular clothing and they listen to this type of music and it's in their culture to do X, Y, and Z. Family, in our culture in history shows of excellence, of intellectual excellence. I didn't even do a segment on our philosophers. I didn't even do a segment on our scientists. Okay. I didn't even go back to Africa and tell you all the great contributions to the world that our ancestors made when they were still in Africa. See, I didn't even want to go that far back because this is a very, very easy topic. It's a very easy discussion because we should know our culture. So stop thinking that Jordans and twerking on tables and avoiding a blunt, that's all I really want. That's not our culture. So family, hopefully with the information I provided here today, or at least some of the resources, I'm not the best orator or spokesperson, so to speak. I get lost for words, but nonetheless, hopefully I provided you with resources you can go back and research if this thing sort of intrigues you. Who wrote the first book? Well, we invented the alphabet. Our ancestors did, right? So, just saying. I know that's back in, Africa.